Hey everybody, Ryan Chapman here, and it's day 2, and what I really want to talk about is I want to talk about how the 90-10 system works and how you're going to be eating during this challenge. Now, yesterday we talked about how the 90-10 system sort of came about. We talked about nutrition facts labels versus ingredient labels, and if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend that you watch it. You can find it in the video section of this group, or there's the YouTube channel, which you can get to whenever you log into our website. You'll be taken to that dashboard, and it's got some icons there for you with the guide and the workbook and then the link to the YouTube playlist. I've also posted the YouTube playlist link in the group. So, but just, tag me in a post or something if you can't find it, but definitely watch that first video so you understand the basic premise behind it. But what I'm going to do now is talk about the actual system that we've developed that is what people go by, and it's so super simple. It's not going to take too long. I will go through the serving approach too, though, which takes a little bit longer, but I want to just go through the freedom approach to start with. So I'm going to share my screen with you here. Hopefully you'll be able to see this now. Okay, so where I'm at on our website is 9010nutrition.com, and I'm under this Learn 9010 right here. Okay, there's 8 lessons in this little academy, and I'm just going to use this we're basically going to go through the academy together here. Okay, so lesson 1, we've got a little intro video here you can watch. And then what you're going to do here is calculate your 10%. 90 is 90% green tier, 10% yellow tier, 0% red tier. So we need to calculate our 10%. We'll get into how that works. There's a little calculator here. You slide these things back and forth. I'm going to say I weigh 200 pounds. And then what's your daily workout calories? Don't get crazy about what this is. Just give it an estimate. There's a couple of things, like if you're doing yoga every day, you can put it in at 200. If you're doing something more intense like P90X, you can do 600. If you're doing something really structured where you wear a heart rate monitor and you know what your daily workout calories is, you can put that in. But you just want to get a basic estimate. You don't necessarily want to come back here every single day and figure it out what it is for that day. Just give it an estimate so that you can get your 10%. It's not going to change it a whole lot. So I'm going to leave it around 400. And this calculator is going to pop up what my 10% is. So my 10% is 185 calories, okay? And then I'm simply just going to go on to the next lesson. So remember your number, 185 calories is your number. This thing is usually pretty slow when I'm streaming. But, okay, so lesson 2, it says, choose the option that you would like. I like the freedom option. There's a freedom option and a serving option. The freedom option is the way that everyone does. Most people do 90-10 because it's super easy and it gives you the most freedom. The serving option is the option if you want to be a little more detailed and technical about making sure you get enough vegetables, making sure you get enough proteins, making sure you get enough of each category rather than just doing the green tier, yellow tier thing. You can totally do that. It's up to you. I recommend most people just start, especially in this challenge, with the freedom approach and see how it works. And if you feel like, like vegetables are a real big problem for you, then maybe try the serving approach, okay? I'll come back to the serving approach at the end, but let's go ahead and just take a look at the freedom option. This is like as easy as it gets, guys, okay? So all you have to do is download our tiers, make sure that you have the tiers. So there's PDF versions of them right here. There's a green tier, a yellow tier, and a red tier. And there's online versions that you could like save to your phone desktop, or you could save it to your desktop. And so that you have them, or you can print out these green, yellow, and red ones in PDF versions, okay? Those are our tiers. Now remember your 10% allowance. This is the amount that you can eat from the yellow tier, and then we just simply eat that way. So what happens is I go about planning my meals using ingredients off of the green tier. If I use something off of the yellow tier, then I will go and subtract that from the 185. So here's an example. Honey is on the yellow tier. So if I was to have some 100% whole grain cornbread with my chili, and all the ingredients in the chili were green tier, and all the ingredients in the cornbread were green tier, and I wanted to put a little bit of honey on it, I would say, okay, I had a tablespoon of honey, and that's 60 calories. That comes out of my 185 calories. Okay, but I would not worry about how many calories were in my chili or in the cornbread. I would only care about that 185 calories. Another way you could do it is eat all 100% green tier, and then use that 185 calories to have a glass of wine or a beer. Some of us do it that way. You're going to stay completely away from the red tier, but that's all it takes, literally all it takes. Let's take a quick look at the kind of things that are on the green tier and the yellow tier and the red tier so you can kind of see. Okay, so on the green tier, you have basically all of your vegetables. Like, vegetables are pretty much green tier with the exception of one, and that is regular potatoes, white potatoes, red potatoes, yellow potatoes, all potatoes except for sweet potatoes and purple potatoes. So you should find sweet potatoes and purple potatoes on here. Secondary veggies and grains, which is all your pastas and breads and things like that. We'll talk more about bread, 100% whole grain, no high fructose corn syrup. We have whole grains, whole grain pastas, purple potatoes, sweet potatoes, and yams, brown and wild rices, things like that. Lean proteins, less than 10% fat for, chicken, turkey, other fowl, beef, buffalo. Dairy is okay in here. You can read through some of that. Pretty much all your fruits are on here. And then healthy fats like nut butters, even some cheese, coconut oil, things like that. And then you have like spices and free foods and stuff like that. Okay. Let me see if I can, I gotta stop the share so I can get back there. Yellow tier, let's take a look at the yellow tier. Share my screen again. Okay, so here's the yellow tier. The yellow tier has the fattier meats, so beef that's greater than 10% fat, whereas uncured meats like bacon on the yellow tier, the dark meat and skin of chicken and turkey, ham, lamb, fatty cuts of pork. You can ask all about, which ones are yellow tier and which ones are green tier. And then you've got agave nectar, alcohol, beer, you've got wine, any breads that are not 100% whole grain. What else is on here? Maple syrup, pasta that's not 100% whole grain, regular potatoes, not sweet potatoes and yams, and then half and half mayonnaise, salted butter, alternative milks, stuff like that. Okay, so that's that's kind of the quick overview of the yellow and green tiers. The red tier is just sugar and processed junk foods, candies and cakes and non-dairy creamers and fillers, fast food, and anything fried, anything that you fry, deep fry, except for lightly sauteing green tier oils, takes it to the red tier. So you need to download these tiers, go over them so you understand what's on your tiers. But it just takes a little time before you know exactly what's on there, and it's no big deal. And that's literally all you do for eating 90-10 is you know what tier the food is. And if it's green tier, don't worry about counting. If it's yellow tier, just make sure you don't go over that 185. Now, your number might be different. It might be 150, might be 200, might be 100, whatever it is. Just don't go over that yellow tier amount. You can go under it. You could eat more green tier and not have any yellow tier if you wanted, but don't go over that yellow tier amount. That's pretty much it. And then the next step here says plan your meals. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the 90-10 meal planner. We'll go over the whole thing. Okay. Now, let's go back and hit up the serving approach for just a second. So the serving approach, the only difference between the regular one and the serving approach is that it breaks down within the green tier how many servings from each category you get. So you remember on the green tier here, we had, oh, that's the red tier. Where's the green tier? Green tier here, we have primary vegetables, secondary vegetables and grains, lean proteins, fruit, and healthy fats. So all the serving approach does is it breaks down and says, if you're, so what did I have? 185 calories of yellow tier. If I multiply that by 10, that gives me my total calories to find out which plan I'm in. So I would be in plan D, 1800 plus, okay, just barely. If you're right on the edge like that, 1850, and you want to drop down to this plan, you could try each one and see how you feel on it. That's totally fine. let's say I just decided I'm going to do this plan C. Primary veggies, 6 servings. Secondary veggies and grains, 2 servings. Fruits, 3 servings. 6 servings of lean proteins. 4 servings of healthy fats. And then it says yellow tier, subtract 1.5 servings from above. What that means is if I decide to have something from the yellow tier, let's say I used a fattier cut of meat for my dinner, and so it was actually yellow tier meat, I would subtract the number of servings really from like lean proteins. I would say, well, I'm going to have, I'm still going to have 6 total servings, but 1.5 of them is actually from the yellow tier. So in other words, these yellow tier servings are not in addition to all of these servings. If you use these yellow tier servings, you subtract from somewhere else up here. So 6, 2, 3, 6, 4, that's your total number of servings for the day and which categories they come from. And then within that, you can have 1.5 servings be from the yellow tier. Okay, so you find your plan amount, and then there's PDF versions and online versions of the tiers, and these actually have, I'll show you one of them, actually have serving amounts on them for each of the things. So artichokes, half of a large artichoke. Asparagus, 10 large spears. So it's actually telling you the serving amount on this version of the tiers so that you know how to do your different plans. Okay, so that's the basics of the 90-10 system and how it works. And if you have any questions at all, ask in the group and we'll help you through any of it, okay?